There's a beautiful girl out there waiting for you to find her. But most men, they fall into the trap of looking for her in places that she's simply never going to be. So if you want to be the guy that can go out there, find that new love of his life, here's the places that you need to start looking. First and foremost, it ain't dating apps. I'm sorry, but the love of your life isn't going to be there because fundamentally she doesn't have to. Girls that have plenty of options that are really great catches, they don't tend to need to resort to dating apps. And if you're going on there thinking that you're going to find her, it's not going to happen for you, because even if you bumped into your dream girl, the likelihood of you matching and that relationship being productive and amazing is really, really low. So instead, we want to start looking elsewhere. Where can we find these new other options? And for me, I've started to find them in more unusual, but potentially traditional places. Starting with the place that I managed to meet a girl that, yeah, I have no idea how I'd have met her any other way, because she was a professional director, like a movie director. She was on like Cannes Film Festival and walked red carpets and stuff like that. Like, where would I have met that girl if it wasn't for doing exactly this? And this is the one that I recommend to all of my friends, my clients, of if you want to meet the dream girl, go to the high street. This is actually what happened when I met this girl. I'd gone out with the pure intention of going to speak to some girls and meet some new people. And I was just sat there on a bench and I saw this girl with her mum walking past me, and she sort of half looked down at me and I was like, oh, cool. That girl seemed cute, interesting, but they'd gone past. So I got up, I sort of spun round and I went up the road, and I'd noticed she'd stopped looking through the window of a bookstore, and I was like, cool, okay. I simply walked up, even though she was with her mum, and was just like, hi, I think you're really beautiful. What's your name? And we ended up having like this quick 2-3 minute interaction and setting up a date for later that week. And I never would have met her. Like, just the likelihood, we certainly weren't matching on like Instagram or anything like that. My 200 followers would look real impressive next to her load of them. It's like she was on is it like the celeb dating app things and stuff where you meet like other people. So it's just the great equalizer in the modern day. It's to meet people on the street, and the girls that you actually want to meet, they're going to be there. One of the reasons that I love the high street is like so much footfall of people just going about their day, having like little tasks and chores that they need to do. And every single person has that. There are certain things they just haven't yet outsourced, so we can just have it delivered to our door every single moment of the day. And it's the great leveler, because I'm not meeting her on a dating app where she's got 1,000 other candidates. I meet her in person where we're just simply equals. So if you're interested in trying to sort of expand your ability to go out there and find that girl who's genuinely waiting for you, because one of the things I like to say is girls are quite lonely. As much as you might not think it, from my experience, girls are genuinely lonely. So see, she is out there waiting for you to turn up. If you're looking to try and find that person, an actionable step for you is simply identifying a high street that you can go out to. And maybe you're going to come back with, well, I live in a small town and there's not that many people around and I work during the week. Well, I actually had this exact same model, and what I did was just identify one Saturday where I was going to go out for 2 hours, and I did it between a certain window, which I'll tell you in a sec, which is the best window to go speaking to girls. And I'm just going to go speak to like 5 girls. And I did that, and funnily enough, on my first shot back in the UK, I ended up meeting my current girlfriend by doing exactly that. Because I went out, identified a Saturday where I was going to go to the biggest city near me, which was still like half an hour drive away. And I just went out on the high street and spoke to people. And if like you're in that zone of, I just don't know where to meet girls, I'm struggling to meet people, this is the great leveler. It's turning up, and specifically the window you want to aim for, it's this 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. window. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'll tell you why. The later in the day you get, the more people's plans tend to be like concrete. If you meet someone and they're walking on a high street somewhere and it's 6 or 7 p.m, they've got dinner plans. Like, it's like, I go up to girls and they'll be like, hey, I'm meeting my friends at this thing, I've got to go. It's like, the plans just seem to get a lot firmer. It's like, oh, I've got to get to this place before it shuts. Whenever you meet people between that 11 and 3 window, there doesn't seem to be that much time pressure, and people are more willing to engage with you and actually have that kind of opportunity for discussion and conversation. You also have a load of footfall of people there. I've found it to just be the most effective because it also opens up the opportunity, which is what happened with me when I went out there, stood on a high street, saw a pretty girl come out of the shop and was just like, I'll go speak to her. Well, 5 minutes later, we'd ended up going on what I call is an instant date. And that was because I found out that she was just generally out shopping, that had no sort of closed end to it. So one of the things that I love is going out in that 11 till 3 o'clock window. So for you, I get it's a big step, I get it's scary, but the average Tinder user spends 45 minutes a day on the app. Realistically, that's such an inefficient use of your time for something that gets you nowhere. If you could reallocate this, I'd recommend to like a Saturday or Sunday in the week if you want. I think Saturday and Sunday has the best footfall and is the most reasonable for most people out there. And just stand on a street and see how many pretty girls that you see, because maybe it's too much for you right now to speak to her. But one of the best things I do with clients is just allow them to see how many opportunities are out there. And what you can do is stand on a street, and all I want you to do is look around and be like, okay, I'm going to count how many girls on this street that I've walked past that I'd like to talk to. And honestly, if you do that for like 5 minutes, you'll probably get up to like 30. Like, if you've got enough footfall on that street, there'll have been 30 different opportunities that you could have taken. And they're real, unlike the 30 different girls that you could have swiped on, which were never really interested, were potentially bots if you use Tinder as well. And these girls would actually interact with you. So first and foremost, if you're looking for where you can find her, the high street, genuinely such a good option. I have met multiple people that turned into relationships from there. Secondly, I like going to the park. Makes me sound like a dog, but like, I think the park's really good. It has an additional advantage on the high street that there's a lot of benches, and people that are sat down often are a bit more social and willing to talk to you. So you can go over and speak to people that sat down. And it also, people that are at the park have not got a massive urgent plan, let's say. Like, they've gone to the park, they're chilling. So they're, once again, very open to talk to you. There's not that much time pressure to just like brush you off. Instead, you're able to speak to some people, and you can do that same activity again of just go to a park and look at the potential opportunities. I've got a bunch of videos on this channel of how to actually branch out, because spending that first 60 seconds is super important, and how you can develop those skills. But initially, if we're just looking locationally, the high street, the parks, these are actually key areas, and they're so they're so good because they have that, what I like to say is the invisibility of the crowd. There's so many people moving. If she's not interested, she's walked on. Like, there's no awkwardness in terms of, oh God, like I have to sit next to this girl for the next half an hour now on the train because I've made a move and she wasn't interested, and now we're both awkwardly sat here. That's where kind of the horror stories come from of girls feeling awkward about approaching. When you go out into the most public arena, it's so much more comfortable because the moment she's not interested, she just leaves. And there's none of that awkward friction post it. So we're looking at going to high streets, going to parks, because all girls go there, no matter what. Like, if they're professional athletes all the way down to just casual girls that go about their day, they all go to high streets and parks. It's another reason why I've met girls at the supermarket. We're not looking for these absolute exciting, like, I met her whilst I was on this cliff diving course and all that kind of thing. Like, cool. But realistically, not every girl goes to that kind of thing. And if you're looking for the girl that you want to be with and she's not. Maybe the girl you want to be with isn't like that. Because the third way that I would structure this is choosing to reverse engineer based on the girl you want to be with to pick the locations where she might be. So like, yeah, if you're super into adrenaline junkie girls that are going to be in probably pretty good shape, that are super adventurous, maybe go cliff diving. That's the point. It's like, you should then start to identify what is the type of girl that you're interested in and just reverse back from there. Because I feel like everyone's got a decent grasp of someone that they might like. It's like, do you like sporty girls? Then maybe a badminton club would be good. Maybe a running club would be good. Maybe going out and just finding a dodgeball league, whatever it is. But identify the girl. Maybe you like artsy girls or intellectual girls. Then it's like, cool, find a pottery class or find a book club and reverse engineer back. The reason that I don't really lead with this, and I think the high street, the parks, they're more of a preferential place of where you will find her, is just because doing this other option, I call it low agency. I think you kind of put it up to the gods for if there's going to be that right person for you there. If you turn up at these events, you've got no control. You could go to a pottery class because you like the idea of being with a craftsy girl, and you turn up and it's just like 15 dudes that also did the same bloody idea, and then you're all just doing what's the like romantic thing when you mould pottery together. You're just like wrapped around with Gareth. But like that could be the case, and for me, I always wanted agency over my life, and I know where I can go to find her. So for me, if like right now you make me single again, you put me somewhere that I've never been before, you take away everything that I've got in terms of like assets and skill acquisition, it's just like, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to go to the high street because I can go meet a girl there because I've done the reps of that. I've seen it's possible. People want to talk to you, and you can go off over and find every kind of girl possible there. And you can start to identify them based on what they're wearing. Like, if you're after a sporty girl, then maybe just go speak to the ones that are dressed up quite sporty. Or maybe like me, I tend to like slightly alternative girls, so I'll identify based on their clothing, based on sort of like their demeanour, if they'd be a good fit for me, and I can almost pre-select based on that. And what it does is just always allow that great equaliser. You're just two people, and it allows you to engage properly, and her only device as such for deciding how attractive she finds you is that interaction. It's just what she feels about you there. It doesn't come down to how big of a social media following you have, how nice are profile pictures that you have going on, how much rizz your opening line had. It's just simply that. It's just you appearing there in front of her, being ready to chat and have a good time. And that's what I've seen the most success with. So like, truly, she is out there. Like, I cannot emphasize that point enough that girls are actually lonely, would love to meet you. Genuinely. They're not happy being at home watching Netflix and watching Instagram all day and swiping. That's not a happy life that most girls live, and that is the average girl's life. Having a relationship between the two of you where you actually like build together, bond together, and make each other stronger, that shit's all over being someone that just watches Netflix all day. So she's out there waiting for you. She just isn't in the places that we've been told of thinking that she's going to be on the dating app. You're going to meet her through friends. It's like the average person now has 2 friends. That is like a matrix network is nothing. There's no leverage there. And like work, that's become a minefield. So operating in this realm where you're just like, cool, she's out there waiting for me. I just need to start putting myself out there, dedicating maybe just like one of my weekend days a week where I just go out and speak to girls for like a 2-hour slot. I can build it around something fun. I can go to a cafe, do whatever I want after, but use that time slot to just meet new people, speak to girls. I guarantee it will start to work. And if you want to know how to make it super successful, because those first 60 seconds, like they're real vital. As I say, like, they're what you get judged on. There's no other context for you. She doesn't have anything else. So all she can do is judge on those 60 seconds. And to do that, she's kind of looking for a few different markers. She's testing you a little bit to see how normal you are, if you're attractive. So what I've done is reviewed every one of my like 1,000 plus interactions that I've had with girls in this manner, and I found that I did 3 things every single time in the most successful of my interactions. It was just like glaringly obvious that there was just 3 things that I did that got every successful interaction off to a great start. And if you want to see what they are, check out this video up here, and you can definitely implement them. They're super quick, super easy, and you can implement them to find the girl of your dreams.